Happy Star Wars Day, everybody, and may the 4th be with you. As you can see, Star Wars out today. Star Wars, rocking my dark side PJs right now, even though it's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah, it's like 4:30, but it took me a minute to watch this. Got my lightsabers, got Luke, his little land speeder. It's like probably the oldest Star Wars toys I actually have is this. And I have Darth Vader somewhere, but I lost the lightsaber and stuff, and I'm gonna turn these off because they'll be super loud the entire video. But wanted to at least have them on in the very beginning. Obviously, it is May 4th. It is Star Wars Day. It will probably be the best Star Wars Day ever because it is both fortunately and unfortunately the series finale for Star Wars Clone Wars. Sorry, also, if you were one of the people on the Disney shop today, I was definitely one of those people on there clogging up the website. Didn't get one of those keys. I was trying my damnedest. Didn't get a key, but I did get the Empire Strikes Back the 40th anniversary tie-dye jersey thing. And the only reason I got that is because a friend of mine got me this last year for Christmas, which is actually Star Wars in French. I don't know how she found that in Michigan, but she did. And because I saw the Empire Strikes Back thing, I was like, well, crap, I already got this. And it's her fault. She's the reason I did that, because I wouldn't have done it. I was like, but, it fits. I can start a little collection. Return of the Jedi comes out with its 40th thing. It just makes sense. So I had to buy it because I already had this. So that's her fault. But I'm happy I got it. I was able to get that one. And then the site's just been insane. Like, it's been so clogged up. The little loading thing was pretty cool. I'm sure anyone who went on the site saw it, but it was the Millennium Falcon kind of flying around, dodging some blasts. So it looked cool. It was a cool waiting screen, but once you're on there for so long, it's like, I just need my one item. Fortunately, my phone provided me with the means to actually kind of circumvent, and I stepped off of Wi-Fi, and I was like, well, we'll see what happens. And I was able to make it through, and I was like, I just let it go. I was like, forget it. I don't need the keys. I was admittedly just going to try to resell them, but I was like, I actually want the hoodie or the jersey. So fortunately, I was able to get through. I at least got that, and I was like, I'll just let things be as they are. I'm excited. I'm very excited for this. I have no idea how this is going to go. I might end up having 2 uploads of this, depending on if Disney even allows me to upload this version, because I want to upload this today on Star Wars Day. But I have no idea if they'll copyright me just on the sound. I wouldn't be shocked, especially considering the episode came out today. So this whole little segment might be completely moot. But if they let me upload, here's a timestamp for when the episode actually begins if you decide you want to watch it with me. So we'll see how that plays out. I probably can't do the audio all the way through. So if there was no timestamp, that's because they said you can't play the whole episode with the audio. So that being said, I probably didn't put a timestamp because I know how that tends to go. Even audio-wise, they probably won't let me just react to the whole episode. So this could only be like 5 or 10 minutes long. And we'll just kind of see what happens. We'll see what happens, but I do plan on putting the footage in. If they let me upload this, I will be doing another version in like a week. Typically, you have to wait about a week or at least a couple of days before you do like the version with actual footage because they'll kind of get you on that. So we'll see what happens, especially with it being Disney. I have to be like extra careful. So hopefully I can upload this today and then I'll just do like the extra version with the actual footage in there. But I wanted to record it. I wanted to at least, at the very least, just have my reaction in here. Even if there's really no footage. That was part of why I have the lightsabers there. At least there's something to look at in the background. And Snorlax is back there. So if you want, you can just look at him as I cry or do whatever is about to happen here. So I'm looking forward to it. We'll see what happens. I got my frozen fruit. And this is victory and death. Okay. Man. I probably shouldn't have it super loud either because I know that'll hit me with the copyright, but I want this to be blaring. I wish I could see this in theaters. If they bring this out as like a 4-part movie, as dumb as it is, I'd probably pay to see it. Just for Ahsoka versus Darth Maul in theaters, I would probably do it. Man. This is insane. And it looks so good. This whole season looks beautiful. Like, I'll admit, I have like a 60-inch 4K TV. Every time it turns on, I'm like, this is glorious. That's actually really cool. I've never thought of that before. There's been a lot of screen-worthy, like wallpaper-worthy little shots, like him just lifting that stuff up, like just the way it looked with the lighting like coming up on his face. I was like, if you just pause that, that's a wallpaper. I've also never thought of this happening before either. where someone destroys the hyperdrive while they're going through. That was wallpaper. That just looks cool. I figured they'd have a moment like this. Like, everyone's on the ship. Like, how in the world do they get out of this situation? That does sound like Chopper. Interesting. Somebody did mention that, and it does sound like Chopper. Huh. Huh. Yeah, that that decreases numbers, that's for sure. So, while they're not talking, I've wanted to say this for a minute. They won't do this, but I would love it if this ship was the one that crashed in Jedi Fallen Order. I know it's not, but that would be amazing. Because that's why I was looking when they showed the planet. I was like, maybe. But I don't think it's the planet. But I would love that. Like, that would be the coolest thing ever. If this ship was the one that you travel through in Fallen Order. That would be so cool. I was wondering if she was about to do it. I'm like, is she strong enough to pull that type of maneuver? Ooh. This is an amazing scene. Like, this is unbelievable. Like, just trying to figure out, like, how is this gonna work? How does this work? Maul makes his escape. I love the spin. I love that they put that in there. Oh, that's cool. Man, how have we never seen that before? I don't think we have. Maybe we have. I don't know. That's so cool. That's awesome. I don't think we've ever seen someone actually get hit so much before. It's really interesting to watch her actually like take these hits and have to keep fighting. Like, we've never really seen someone get pushed to this sort of brink. And it's just really interesting. Man, this is cool. That's just really cool. My heart is genuinely racing right now because I'm just like, what happens next? Is this a time skip? This is a time skip. Now we get to see like actual stormtroopers. Oh man. I did not see that one coming. I mean, that makes sense. It makes sense. He would have to be in it, but I just didn't. I just didn't think about it really. It was like he had to be, but would he be? There's like a little under 3 minutes left, so I would assume this is it. Like, I think this is the end of the episode. It just ends on one of Ahsoka's clones watching Darth Vader just walk away. Wow. That was amazing. Like, I didn't know what to think or like what to expect. I feel like the only thing I can like accurately compare this to Star Wars wise, which oddly enough, I did a reaction for this, so you can watch that episode too. I did a reaction, it was for Darth Maul versus Obi-Wan. I didn't know what to expect, and going through it, it was just like, I knew it wasn't going to be like the craziest thing in the world. I kind of wanted it to be for, you know, Darth Maul versus Obi-Wan. If you're watching this, you've seen it, so I'm not going to be like spoilers. You've seen it. If not, I don't know why you're missing out. But man, just the way it happened, and the way it just man, I wish I had a way to just really describe how I feel right now. Like, I don't know what to think. It's like going into it, I was like, I know it can't be like I'd been saying this a bunch, like, of all the reviews and stuff. I was like, I would love for this episode to have been an hour. I figured it wouldn't be, but I kept saying it over and over again. Like, it would be sweet. I don't think it'll happen, but it would be really cool if it just happened to be an hour long special. And going through it, it was just like, I know they live, but how do they live? How do they get out of this insane situation where they are going up against all the clones? They have, Darth Maul in there. How's he gonna escape? How does Ahsoka escape? How does Rex escape? It seemed like they clearly had one of the droids at the end there. It didn't look like it was Chopper. That was interesting though, because that definitely, all that stuff was like Chopper's movements. But I could have sworn, like, it's been a minute. I mean, Rebels, of course, has been off for a while now, so I always forget some of the minute stuff. But I could have sworn Hera found Chopper on her home planet. That's what I thought for sure. So maybe that was just a reference to Chopper, and he was just, he's specifically that type of droid. Because considering how that planet looked, it didn't seem like it would be Hera's planet. Plus the amount of time that had passed, and like the snow and everything like that. So I was like, oh, that's really interesting, because all that stuff was definitely Chopper. But also, like I said, I forget a lot of stuff, but I don't remember Chopper knowing Ahsoka, like, when she came into the show. But, man, that was a really good finale. And it was, like I said, it was pretty much what I thought, but it was also different, because it had the action that I was anticipating. It had what I thought was going to happen. I ended up going to the Clone Wars movie, and that's not what I meant to do. I meant to restart the episode. So it had the action, which I figured it would. I would have loved to have seen, admittedly, I would have loved to have seen Darth Maul just get his lightsaber and then take down a couple of clones as he was, kind of going through the motions there. That would have been amazing. Totally fine that it didn't happen. But, oh man. It's just interesting. Like, and then the way they ended, it's like, there's so much that still happens in between this finale and then even this finale and then Rebels, like, not like this and then obviously all of Star Wars and stuff like that. But man, just the way it was done, I love this episode. This was really good. It was a fantastic finale. It was, I think somber's not the right word, but that's kind of how I feel. Like, and that's kind of how I felt when it came to the Darth Maul Obi-Wan fight, where I thought it was gonna be like this big thing, and it was like, no, it makes sense. It makes sense that they would have, these characters who we've seen, in Clone Wars even, we've seen them flip and fly and do all the crazy moves, but they're old now. They were in Rebels, they were old. And it made sense that after all the crazy flips and kicks and dual wielding fights that they had, Obi-Wan fighting against Darth Maul and his brother, Darth Maul fighting who knows how many people and just surviving all the time, everything they did, they got old. And so it gets down to that point, and it's like, it makes sense, especially with, everything that Star Wars is based off of, one of which being, like, straight up samurai. It makes sense that they would just have a final samurai battle, and it would just be boom, boom, and the fight was over. And that's kind of how I feel with this episode. Like, they had the action. I mean, this, of course, had way more action than that actual episode. That was actually a really, like, drawn-out, sort of slow-paced episode all around. But the way they ended this episode was like, they go through these fights. We see Ahsoka take hit after hit. Rex cries. Like, I don't think we've ever seen a clone cry before. I think that's the first time that's ever happened. I could be wrong. We've had lots of seasons for this show. But I feel like that's the very first time we've ever seen that. And that's really interesting to think about. Like, just the concept of, we see him in the moment. We see him as he struggles, when he's first taken over in the last episode. And we see him tearing up in this one, where it's like he's looking at his brothers, but he's alone, in that situation. And it's just so interesting watching them have to go through this moment. And it's kind of like Yoda in episode 3, where it was like, man, the battle's lost. Although, like a lot of people, I still argue he could have, like, he fell down. I feel like he could have got up, but, we don't have to go into all of that. But it's the same sort of feeling. Like, it's over, and it's like, this is it. Like, we can't just go in and fight back. There's nothing to fight back against, because it's too much power. And there's no one to fight back with. We don't know who's alive. We have to just leave and survive. So I love the way it ended. No joke, if this ended and they did do it where it was actually on the same planet from Fallen Jedi, I would have got up and, like, I would have had to take a lap around the apartment if that happened. Because I would have lost my mind if they, like, connected it that well. And I don't mind that they didn't. That's just one of those like extra nerd moments where I'm like, they won't do that. But the whole time the ship was falling, and then like some of the stuff they did, I was like, okay, that kind of reminds me of the game. It was sideways a little bit. They had the piece open in the middle. Like, this could be the planet just during a different season, but it wasn't. Um, because I thought for a minute I was like maybe they'll do a time skip and it'll have like it'll fill in with water and stuff, and I was like, I don't know. They didn't do that. But once also, if you have not played Fallen Jedi, you are seriously missing out. That you can get another angle for Order 66, and once again, one of the best things you can possibly experience. Like it's so well done, and in that particular case, you're playing as a child, a young Jedi. So if you've read like Kanan's story, you can get another like young Padawan's journey through Order 66 if you play Jedi Fallen Order. Highly recommend it. Amazing game. But I love this episode. There's not really much else to say. I mean, it's like how there's just nothing else that could have happened. Like it just makes perfect sense. All that they could do. I mean, we've seen what happens after this. We've seen everything throughout the universe, and it's crazy to think that like going back and seeing new things, but you know where everyone ends up anyway. So it's just like it had to be that way. They survive. They honor them, by burying them and having their helmets and everything, and then they just have to leave. And she even leaves, the lightsabers behind, which I thought was really interesting. And so she does have different lightsabers, because I mentioned before. I mentioned in my review. So if you guys are interested, you can check out my reviews for this season. Obviously, I'm going to do a review for this episode after I kind of gather my thoughts. I might watch the episode like a couple more times just to pick up like a couple things I may have missed. Probably double check on that chopper thing, because that definitely, I was like, I might have to Google that, because I'm like, where did Hera find Chopper? Because everything that droid did was Chopper-esque. So that was weird, because I'm like, I thought it was on her home planet, but it's been a minute. I don't remember everything. But, oh man. I feel like there's a million more things for me to say. I feel like I do need to rewatch this episode a couple of times to really like get all of my thoughts in before I actually do my review, because it's just like, yeah, like that doesn't look like the droid. That doesn't look like the Chopper droid. But wow, there's just so much here. So it was a great ending. It was a great ending. I think I might actually at some point, not today, I'm gonna rewatch this, but at some point I am gonna watch the last 4 episodes all together, because we had the red title and everything, and it's just different every time they leave. It's like the movies where it like spins as they go in hyperspace, and I'm like, that's cool, because they of course never do that in the shows, and they changed that for these last 4, and I was like, that's such a cool touch. But this was awesome, and we got a cool time skip. We got to see Vader in the Clone Wars style, because he does look different than he did in Rebels, because Rebels, as close as it is to Clone Wars, obviously it's different. Clone Wars I think is smoother than Rebels. Or no, Rebels I think is smoother than Clone Wars. Clone Wars, like the characters, especially in this, because I think they have so much high detail, they kind of keep that aesthetic where they have slightly sharp angles. Like I'm looking at Ahsoka, she's like doing the lightsaber thing, and like even just her hands, you can see like the actual, like they kind of make it look like your actual hands do. Like you don't think about it much, but you do have slightly sharp angles like in your fingers, and I feel like they don't have that for Rebels. I feel like the characters are a bit sleeker and smoother. And in this, they have sharper angles for like their faces and everything. Especially like if you look at Anakin, everything's just like chiseled and all that stuff. So that's how they do it. But so we get to see Vader in new Clone Wars design. We get to see actual stormtroopers. We see snow troopers as well. That's really cool. I love that. That's actually amazing, because I wasn't expecting. I was like, I was so curious. I was like, how do you just end it? And it makes perfect sense to end it this way. Just do the time skip. Go into the original trilogy, or at least close to it. I would assume that this is still before Star Wars. I would assume this is before Rebels. I would say this has to be before Rebels season 2 finale, before they actually end up meeting up. And I think this would be the thing, because I think when they meet, Vader says, I can't remember the exact line, but he says something specific like, I knew that this was gonna happen. Like we were destined to finally meet up again. So I think this happens before, because they connect when they're in space, and that's when she realizes that Darth Vader is Anakin. And this is in Rebels. Once again, sorry if this is spoilers for you. You should seriously see Star Wars Rebels. It is great. But they end up connecting and stuff. It sucks. I hate to be talking about this if I am spoiling it for you, because it's some of the best stuff. But you really should be checking it out. It's on Disney Plus. Watch all the Star Wars Rebels. It's amazing. Um, but this is so good. This is this is crazy. This is nuts. I love this ending. I love this episode. It sucks to see it end, but I love the way it was done. Also, the May 4th stuff that they've been doing on Disney Plus, where they're using like all the art, concept art and stuff, that looks really cool. Also, I didn't mention this when I first saw it, but I noticed it. The background where like Vader's walking towards the camera, it's art. Like that's not 3D. Like it's 2D. Like it's like paint strokes, and I love that design look. Like it looks really cool. Like even Vader's cloak, like you can see it when they show that top down view. If you find it and look at it. If I don't, wasn't able to put it up here. um, like the shoulder part, like you can see it. It looks like it looks like paint strokes on it, and I love that look for it. So that's just really good. I feel like that's all I can really say. I would probably have to end up watching it again, but it was awesome. Um, I don't know what comes next. I mean, I guess it would be Mandalorian season 2 is the next thing we have. Who knows? Movie wise, we'll see what ends up happening, but I'm very excited. Hopefully, we get some Jedi Fallen Order 2 or whatever they're gonna do with that. I hope that does end up continuing, but this was really good. It was a very weird, calm ending because it's like I know how it has to end because they can't run into anyone else. We know what happens, so it makes sense. It's like the perfect ending. They go through that action, and then it's just like now you just disappear into the galaxy and survive. So I love that. There's still a lot of time. There's still a lot of stories in there. Some of the comic books and stuff like that you can check up on. I still have to actually read. Like I haven't read any of the comic book stuff, so I might finally get into that and like start filling in. Now that they've done this, start going in myself and like, all right, let me pick this up and pick that up. There's a million things to watch for Vader. Not watch, but read. Like the Vader comic, I know is like huge. Like people love the Vader comic, so might pick that one up. I know they're doing some stuff, with the Kylo Ren thing fairly recently. They've been doing so. There's still a lot out there. Still a lot of story, and who knows? They could still do stuff for Maul. I mean, the stuff that we saw, once again, slight spoilers for Solo, but the stuff we saw there, that was after this. So they still have stories to tell. There's still stuff for us to see. I don't know if they would ever do a Maul specific show. They definitely should. Not saying he's my favorite character, but he is. And I would just, that would be great. But I love this. It was amazing. I'm going to watch it again. And then I'm probably going to watch Ahsoka versus Darth Maul like 5 more times. Because that's crazy. And they got Ray Park back to do mocap. And I was like, that's good. So yeah, I think that's really it. I got to rewatch it so I can kind of gather my thoughts. Probably pick out some stuff that I didn't notice before or anything like that. I'll have a review up. The review will already be up before this ends up being put out. So it'll be one of the title cards at the end if you just want to check out my review. If you want to start from the beginning, I've reviewed every episode for this season. I also did everything for The Mandalorian. I still regret not doing my reaction for The Mandalorian finale because I cried. Since that's more recent, even though once again, if you're watching this, you have Disney Plus, so you've most likely seen it. But just in case, since that's so recent, I won't spoil that. But that last scene in The Mandalorian finale, I just didn't, there's some transitioning from CG to live action. And I was like, that would be cool, but they'll never do it. And I was wrong. Sadly, that thing I also didn't find online today, with it being Star Wars Day, that very specific thing. I was like, that means merchandise for this very particular item, and it may or may not be, expensive, kind of like these over here. And if they do that very specific thing, I will buy it day one because I need to have that. But we'll see what happens. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Like I said, I have no idea what this is going to look like if I have any footage here at all. I know I didn't today. I know day one, I just didn't. I know I didn't. So hopefully there's still some value to it. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing my reactions to just some of the crazy moments. Hopefully I can put some of the moments in, even if it's just audio, but who knows what I'll have to cut, because I would love to just have my reaction for like the scene where Rex was crying. I just wanted to just that scene. Like it was just a good scene. So we'll see what happens. I might be able to put it in. I might not. Who knows? But either way, I hope you guys enjoyed this reaction. If you're interested, you can check out my review. Obviously, I want to know what you guys thought about this. What did you think of the time skip? Did you expect to see Vader? It was in my head, it makes sense to have him in there, but it was kind of just they'd have to do a time skip, and how would it make sense? That's the perfect way to do it. Just, it's one of the spots where they found it. They found the wreckage of the Clone Wars, and it's like, all right, well, let's check it out. That just makes sense. Why, he's the only one that would do it, unless they sent one of the Inquisitors. That would have been cool if they sent the Grand Inquisitor from Rebels. That would have been pretty sweet. Like, oh, that's a heck of a tie-in. But I would have, I'd prefer to see Vader for sure. But we'd love to know what you guys thought about the episode as a whole. What do you want to see next from Star Wars? Like, of course, we're getting Mandalorian. We are supposed to be getting Ahsoka live action Mandalorian season 2, so we shall see. Because they said it was official, and then I've heard that it was technically rumored later on, so that she wasn't already in it. Because I was like, oh, I thought it was announced that she was going to be in it, and then it was like, no, she's not actually in it. And I'm like, all right, I don't know what that means anymore. I don't know if Rosario Dawson is in the freaking show or not in the show, if it's official, if it's not official, because it definitely sounded official when it first came out, and then it was like, well, it's actually just rumored. So I was like, oh, I want it to be official. I want Ahsoka live action. I think Rosario Dawson's a great person to do that. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Who knows? This crazy virus might pause a lot of extra stuff that they've already had planned, so who knows what we're getting next. But as far as I'm concerned, it's a pretty good Star Wars day. That was a really good finale. And, I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see what comes next. So, thank you guys for checking this out. Of course, if you guys have any comments, please put them down in the comment section below. And, of course, may the Force be with you.